Hey everybody, welcome to the Redmen TV and your latest Liverpool news update. My name's Dan Clubb, as you can see right there. I'm joined by Sam Walker for this one. Hope everybody's good, JD, you included. We're all sound. Sam, are you okay?
All good, mate. It's been a while.
It's been a while. Yeah, when was the last time you were in? Good number of weeks now.
In the season, I think.
First one this summer,
towards the end of the season, yeah.
Yeah, well, okay. Well, let's get right into it then. We do apologise for being late, first and foremost. We have blamed Microsoft, although Anthony Kearns, you might be right. I'm not willing to comment whether we use MacBooks or not. Sound. Absolutely not our fault.
Other services are available?
Maybe, yeah, possibly. JD, you were incorrect, however. Chris is currently on his travels. He's off on holiday for a few days now, so it's just me on my lonesome for the foreseeable, so get used to my face, unfortunately, everybody. So let's get into it then. News-wise, we'll start with Virgil van Dijk and his contract situation. Fabrizio Romano this morning, who provided somewhat of an update on it. He said lots of rumours surround the Liverpool captain Virgil van Dijk, but as we already mentioned here, the day after his recent statement, guys, so far the situation is quiet. And basically just referring to the fact that nobody's panicking. He's off on his holidays right now. It says here, Liverpool have not received any proposal. Virgil's on holiday. So again, it's quiet all around. Van Dijk and Liverpool are waiting for him to come back from his holidays. Sam, are you pretty chill about the Van Dijk one? Obviously, straight after the elimination from the Euros with Netherlands, of course, he came out and said he wanted to take some time and consider his international future and his club future. With alarm bells ringing for you? Are you quite chill about it?
I think that statement would have had anyone sort of stressing, but I think, he was emotional. It was a last minute goal against him, against an England team. He's probably just, really exhausted and tired and just wants to go away. But in terms of the Liverpool stuff, he's of the three that are in question this summer, he's the one that I'm least concerned of. Luckily enough to have, I know a mate who's within his camp, and all I don't know is that he's dead calm, wants to be here. And for me, that's enough, money and all that will look after itself. But from the news and from someone that we know around him, he wants to be here. He wants to be our captain. And, I can't see the club taking that away from him, can you? So I'm dead calm about Virg. He's the one where you think, you know what, that'll probably sort itself out. Age is, everything fits about him staying a couple more years, I reckon.
Okay, good. Happy days. I like that. What did I make of the cricket yesterday, Nigel? I watched a decent chunk of it. I mean, England relatively dominant over the West Indies, it's fair to say.
Didn't see any of it yesterday. It was one of our mates texting me saying 400 in a day again, and I was like, I completely...
They were flying early morning.
Yeah,
flying.
I missed it, gutted.
Yeah.
But
Ben Duckett was whacking it about.
I was tempted to go down on Sunday, but as our mutual friend who was talking about me said, he probably won't be playing on Sunday.
It's a good point. Yeah, it's probably about right. Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned there how you were most relaxed about Virgil's situation and less so potentially therefore about Trent. We're not going to discuss him in too much detail, but does that lend itself to the fact you are slightly nervous about him and what happens next? Because obviously we've seen the reports, Real Madrid keep an eye on his situation, which is no shock. We know how close him and Jude Bellingham appear to be, which is ever so slightly worrying as well. For what it's worth, for my take, I said this upstairs, somebody earlier on, I can just imagine in the next few weeks sitting around the table with Trent and they get that deal thrashed out and he releases obviously his press thereafter and he says, listen, my commitment to the club remains as strong as ever. This is my club. Maybe I'm living in dreamland a little bit, but that's kind of how I see it going. Do you have a different view at all?
I think the only unique thing with Trent is that, look, the Bellingham thing, he's got boss mates at Liverpool as well. You know what I mean? He's probably close to Robbo and Sobbo than he is, that's funny that Robbo and Sobbo, than he is Jude because he's with them every day and all the other lads, Curtis, etc. So I'm not really too... It's great that he's got a friend in the England camp, by the way, because for too many years, Liverpool players have been on one side of the pitch. But... And the Real Madrid stuff, I don't even know if there is actually any concrete stuff out there, or is it just, the odd typical daily stuff? I think the only thing with him is because he's won it all with Liverpool, is it's a lot easier for him to have no sort of stones unturned. That he can go, do you know what? I've loved it. I'm dead thankful for it. I can go and, the one club you probably wouldn't hold anything against them would be Real Madrid. So from that perspective, I suppose it is a concern. Where I bring it back is, I just think that he's got 2 big contracts left. He'll probably earn as much with us as he will with Real Madrid because they're not soft either. And I think he can be Liverpool captain, have a statue up, win multiple Premier Leagues, European. I just think now Southgate's gone as well. That probably helps him as well with England. I feel like he's closer to staying than going, and if that's even in question.
No, I agree.
Mind, anyway.
And you've just said it there. Really, the one box left untick for Trent is being Liverpool captain. I know he's done it in certain games here and there, but actually being anointed as Liverpool captain, getting that armband on a permanent, exactly. No. That's the only, and he's made no sort of, he hasn't hidden the fact that he's desperate to be Liverpool captain one day. So I can see that, and obviously he might have to wait in line a little bit for Virgil, who looks like I say will stick around for a few more seasons yet. But
it might even be that Virgil's like, yeah, you're right. When I'm 34, Trent should be the captain.
Yeah.
He might be happy to drop down and the lineage. He's still going to play every week.
Yeah.
So and be a leader. It might just be that.
Maybe not with a captaincy. It's happened before in the past. So
look at Gerrard and Hippier.
I was going to bring it up. Yeah, exactly the same sort of situation, wasn't it? 100%. So yeah, that'd be quite nice actually. So let's move on then. Contract stuff wrapped up for now. I know you're quite excited to speak about this, lad. So let's do it. Liverpool have reportedly inquired about Ryan Ait Nouri, obviously Wolves fullback. A link that's been doing the rounds quite a lot in recent weeks actually. Yeah. They spoke about Chelsea interest too, but according to court offside sources, we know the situation, Ait Nouri also remains an option for the Reds' Premier League opponents, Manchester City and Chelsea. So you can see there by the sort of calibre of clubs that we're talking about, less so Chelsea, of course. Sam, you're keen on this. It mentions there €45 million price tag. I guess the first question would be, what makes way? Because you've got Andy Robertson, you've got Kostas Tsimikas. Would you have him in terms of pecking order straight in ahead of them two?
Well, I think with the Tsimikas thing, just focusing on him a second. I think he's at an age now where he's a good little left back, but he's not going to be a top left back for Liverpool ever. I don't think. Even if Robertson, touch wood, had a really bad injury or had just or left under mad circumstances. I don't think Tsimikas would be the right guy. And I think with Robbo being 29, he might even be 30 now. And I think, he's looked this year like he is actually, breakable. Whereas he's never looked that way before. So having that sort of year or 2 years where you have him and another player sort of competing and then the younger player taking over, I think that makes sense. That's not going to happen with Tsimikas. Ait Nouri's the right age. He's from Wolves. We've got a great relationship with Wolves. Transfers both ways. Even when you look at the agent situation with the Portuguese and everything that links, Julian Ward, Hughes, everything that we've got links to us being able to buy from a club like Wolves. And I just think he's exciting. He's a proper left back. I've never bought into this centre-back left back thing personally. Okay. I just don't think our style will go that way. I know everyone loves Gvardiol, great player, but personally, just if I was picking a team, I love the Andy Robbo. And I love the Ait Nouri, and that I think that works. I think him being left back for us with Robbo next year taking over in 25, 26 would be unbelievable. I'm not going to get too upset if he doesn't, but I think he's the right kind of player that we should be looking at. Premier League proven as well.
Yeah, great
Fantastic.
age. Yeah, the money's not crazy either. It's in that sort of sweet spot Liverpool like.
The wages aren't going to be daft.
No, I agree. Yeah, no, he feels like he's gettable as well, which is a big thing in all of this. Before we move on, super chat from Alistair LeBroy. Thank you very much for getting involved, mate. Being at the loop, who's signing, who's leaving? Truth be told, very little so far.
No one, mate.
In both of them fronts. I mean, in terms of who's leaving, it looks like there's going to be a bit of an exodus at centre half. Sepp Vandenberg possibly involved in that, but Nat Phillips, Billy Cometto, Reece Williams, all up to be on their way about as well. Yeah, Kevin Keller, his future remains somewhat up in the air. Did you see the comments? Actually, we'll spend a bit more time speaking about him. Did you see the comments from the New Republic of Ireland boss about Kevin Keller? Basically, he needs to be playing football.
Yeah,
I mean, like regular first team football at that.
Yeah, it's interesting because you've spoken about this before, because I've heard you on the shows recently about who wants him and who can get him. It might end up being him going abroad. I think we all assumed he'd end up in the Premier League, didn't we? But he might end up abroad. I mean, I don't know like the Leicester goalie is at the moment, someone like that, or Ipswich. That could be a good move where they go and bring in a solid keeper who they know they can.
But can they spend 25 million on it?
That's it. Yeah. Well, 25 million can be split over years. That's how it works these days. It's, plus if you've got 100 million extra than you had last year, could you afford to put a quarter on it on a big player for your team? I think it's worthwhile. It's all relative, isn't it? I would be surprised if Keller stays. But I actually thought he might be gone already, if I'm being honest. With him staying here over the summer and not going to an international tournament.
I suppose Alisson's not being back might have sort of lended itself to him sticking around a little bit, because had Alisson been in the building 2 weeks ago, maybe something else could have happened.
Potentially.
Keller needs to go to America right now, doesn't he? I imagine his future might be resolved thereafter, potentially. Alisson returns as well, so no big signings, no marquee signings on the horizon just yet. It looks as though the two possible marquee signings Liverpool might have gone and got, Calafiori and Lenny Yoro, are both heading in different directions. The Calafiori one has stalled. And you know what?
Even both of those, I mean, if you look at them, I don't think either of those come into the side. Anyway, I heard you and Paul talking about it, about Paul Coast about Yoro, is even if he came in and for big money, he's still going to be sat there. He might have played in America, but I don't think he plays in the get-go. When we talk about marquee signings, from the comments there, for me, that is a player who comes in and instantly is either the first sub or starts. And I think so.
It's a lot of money for that.
Yeah, and it could be worth it long term. We just don't know. But for both players, we just don't know. But I mean, if we're talking about marquee players, you're talking about someone to come into that first team. I'll be honest with you, I don't actually think we'll sign anybody this summer that starts the first 3 or 4 games. I actually think anybody we sign will be someone we sign that maybe starts after Christmas.
Yeah, quite possibly.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, the only position I'd sort of bring into question on that would be the 6th.
That's, if you're going down that route.
Because that feels like the most natural major upgrade.
Yeah.
People may argue left back, because you mentioned the centre-half thing before. I know a lot of people are keen on doing that. Arsenal going down that road as well with Calafiori, it looks like, too. And people would argue that if we were to sign someone of that ilk calibre, there is a conversation to be had around them starting ahead of Robertson. You obviously believe we'll just continue with the Robertson.
It would be for me a great competition for them too.
Yeah, and Cola Bottle here mentions, nice name by the way, I prefer Anthony Robinson if you want another left back. Kirkes as well, I think at Bournemouth's a good option for that.
Did all the school in Liverpool, Robinson.
I know, he did. American,
he was in my school for a bit. He was a lot younger than me, but he went to Chilwell for a little bit before he was at Everton.
He was at Everton for a while, wasn't he?
Then he went to their school,
Daz, I've seen a couple of people mention Johan Bakayoko, so I'll touch on this now. Dazzler mentions, am I the only one stressing about a Salah replacement? Well, on that note, Johan Bakayoko has been speaking about his future. A player linked to Liverpool quite a lot down the years, and the PSV Eindhoven winger Johan Bakayoko has admitted he will be open to joining a top club this summer. Sam, does this one float your boat at all? I guess not so much the player, but the prospect of bringing in an understudy stroke long-term replacement for Salah. That is something that needs addressing, isn't it?
I mean, if we just went into the summer with Salah and a couple of other options like Jota, Diaz, potentially Elliott to cover them, you can't say, it's a disaster because we've done it before and we haven't got AFCON to contend with this year or a World Cup. So last couple of years have been crazy. But I think it is the right time to go and bring in an Mbeumo or a Bakayoko or somebody who the club feel could be that guy next year. So I do think, I see there Nigel Bakayoko's not good enough. Potentially, we don't know. The position, though, I think, Nigel, is what we're looking at. And I agree with that. If Neto weren't so injury prone, he'd have been the perfect replacement. Another Wolves player, by the way.
On that, though, can you? Because
it's too difficult, because if we do
big injuries, aren't they?
Yeah, if we do decide to let Salah go next summer or the summer after, or we sell him next summer or this, whatever it may be, you've got to have somebody there you believe will sort of take us on. Now, I don't know whether Gordon was that guy and they were just going to convert him over. Who knows? But I do think this summer, personally, the upgrades I see this summer is bringing in a Salah understudy and a replacement for Tsimikas. I have different opinions on centre-back and DM, but everyone's got their own version of events there anyway. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, Adam Patel raises another name as potential Kudus, Mohamed Kudus.
Superb,
Yeah, he's a good option there. I like that one.
Getting him out of West Ham, though.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure we'll have sort of aspirations of playing Champions League footy, though, which West Ham may not be able to offer him anytime soon. Another transfer story to touch upon just now, and this one comes from Alfredo Pedula on Twitter. I don't even know where to start with this one. I mean, it's there in black and white. Liverpool, Fabio, new contacts yesterday, still no agreement, but there is interest. I mean, Sam, does this interest you at all? I guess, for me, the only real interesting element of all of this is the fact he's a free agent. Outside of that, I'm just not keen at all.
It's not. I mean, it's an Artemello without the injuries for me. Talented player, never really sort of kicked onto that next level. PSG finished this summer, hasn't he?
Juventus.
Juventus, sorry, yeah. So, but he's previously at PSG, wasn't he? You know, obviously the France manager liked him, which sort of raises eyebrows and makes you think he's good enough, but I look at, like, we've got it's defensive midfield, isn't it? That's where he'd play. It's just whether he's robust enough. Is he going to come in and be more available and on job than Endo? And then is he going to then block Bajcetic? Because I've got a lot of time for Bajcetic's development in that area. It's just not for me. It stinks of a Man U signing that, to be honest.
Yeah, 100% agree with that.
200 grand a week.
Well, United signing, unfortunately, of old, it looks like, because they're actually doing some quite sensible business, it looks like now, to a point.
Yeah, spending 60 mil on 18-year-old kids, still typical Man U.
I tend to, what I will say on that is, though, Liverpool wanted him, or certainly liked him, and Real Madrid likewise, and if Man United are winning that race, like, I hate crediting them, don't get me wrong, but they've done something there. And even Xerxes feels like a relatively sensible deal, looking at Ugarte now, like, they're doing things, whether we hate them or not.
I'm not sure if they're doing enough to take back what they've lost, if that makes sense.
No, it's still such a big gap.
Yeah, this is the thing, isn't it? I saw someone say they were willing to take the gamble on Euro. They're willing to maybe take the gamble on Ugarte. The players with question marks over them. I think the difference with Liverpool is we've got, if we went into the season with Endo and Bajcetic as our DMs and not Rabiot, then you would be like, right, okay, it's a gamble because we don't know where Bajcetic is at and we don't know how Endo's going to be a year in. However, you at least know what you're getting.
Yeah.
I think the gamble is actually when you take a punt. So I actually would prefer Liverpool to make the right calls rather than rash ones. So if we were to spend 60 million on a kid, then we had no more money to buy a Salah understudy. Salah doesn't have a great season. We're suddenly in the stick.
Yeah.
So it's all balanced on what you need as a club, isn't it? Mm-hmm. But yeah, I reckon he'll end up. I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up at Man U because I don't care what they say. That's Man U all over. Oh, it's still owned by the Glazers.
Yeah, to all intents and purposes. Yeah, it absolutely stinks to them 100%. And what Fabio does offer is a wealth of experience in terms he's played at the top level for years now. With some of the biggest clubs in the world as well. Let's have it right. But again, come back, 29 years of age.
29. I thought he was younger than that.
No, 29. And it just feels like he's sort of marred with complications and difficulties because his man's agent and there's always problems in and around that. Loads of baggage, it feels like, constantly problems. His wage demands would be astronomical, certainly given the fact he's a free agent. And yeah, it's just not very Liverpool like.
Yeah. Do you remember Draxler?
I remember Julian Draxler, yeah.
And that he was in a similar boat where anybody actually had a bit more behind him, and he ended up going to PSG and fading. It
never really happened for him.
This kind of feels a bit like that, doesn't it? Wherever he goes, someone will get excited for 10 minutes, and then by Christmas he'll be on the bench causing problems.
Yeah, okay, not for us then. Absolutely not for us. Sound, that's fine by me. We'll move on in that case to. Actually, I wanted to ask you something. This isn't in my news agenda, but Liverpool are playing their first game today.
They are Preston,
Preston,
behind closed doors.
So a bit of a reunion for Sepp Vandenberg, Leighton Stewart involved as well.
Time it kicks off.
I did see this yesterday, but I completely got out of my mind. It's behind closed doors friendly, as you say. I mean, it's really important that we start doing this sort of stuff because obviously pre-season in terms of the America trip is on the horizon, but all the noise, all the talk has been around Arne Slot needed to see his players, the call for patience. He wants to work out what he's got, what he can work with, what he needs to improve, etc. The quicker he starts to do that, the quicker we can start making decisions in the transfer market and stuff.
Absolutely. And I think that's the key thing, isn't it? It's all good buying players in when you've never seen your players train. Then when you've seen your players train, you still haven't seen them play, etc., etc. So this is really key. And I don't think it's a matter of, we're playing against the top team or we're playing against a championship team here. It's like, it's shape, isn't it? Yeah. It's about the players starting to understand what their roles are going to be into the new season. And that'll then shape the business that we do. So again, it's hard to say this, we live in this world, but everyone, keep calm, allow Slot to do what he needs to do today. He'll probably know after today whether some of his ideas that he's got for certain players, actually that's not going to work. I can see straight from the bat it's not going to work. You're just not comfortable in there in that position doing that role, that job. So I think we'll start to see it because we don't play again for another week, do we, when we're in America?
We will, but it's like a week today.
So
almost,
again, So I think after these next couple of games, that's when the likes of Hughes and I think, right, okay, we now know what we got to do. Because let's be honest, the guys who aren't here their positions in the squad aren't in jeopardy, are they? The ones that have reached the final stages of the international competitions, they're coming back into play.
They know what they are.
The ones he's got are the ones he needs to judge, isn't it?
In fact, the only one I'd probably question in terms of that, you're absolutely spot on, but probably Joe Gomez. Because he's probably one who might, and Trent has to come back and have a different conversation in terms of his position. Of course, contract is already mentioned, but Joe Gomez might have one eye and coming back and having a word with Arne, not in a negative way, but being like, what do you see me as?
Absolutely.
Am I going to carry on being this versatile utility, do a little bit of right back, a little bit of left back, centre half, or am I going to be able to nail down a centre-half spot? He's probably the only one really fit into that category.
And that might have been also one of the reasons why we never pulled the trigger on the young lad, because whether we got involved in that kind of money or not is until he speaks to Joe Gomez properly and has a conversation with him about that, he might say, well, look, is there any chance I can move on then? And then that happens, and then we need to bring in a centre-back. But if that conversation goes the way Slot wants it to go, then we might not even need to do anything.
Yeah, it changes the landscape.
And that's so it's all ifs and buts at the minute, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why, like I say, these games today against Preston, and for what it's worth, I'm 99% certain it is very much behind closed doors the game, and nobody will be involved in terms of watching on. That might change if it goes well for Liverpool. You might see some clips and some highlights come out there after the
Harvey Elliott's kicking ass.
Yeah, exactly. If it ends like 0-0 or something like that, it'll ever see the light of day, to be honest with you. Sam, we'll move on. Another news story for us before we wrap up. Nico Williams, a name that just won't go away, really. Barcelona seemingly right at the forefront of his signing, left winger. I mean, it feels like I've had this conversation 15 times, so forgive me, but the only way we do something like Nico Williams, Sam, is if Luis Diaz was to leave, I would say. I mean, that, but also he's really good, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a good player, but I think He's a very good player, but I just don't think we need him. Stick the Premier League tax on him. I don't know how good he will be. He's a very, very good youngster. Reminds me of Zaha when he was in his pomp, to be honest. The way he drags the ball and moves, and his swagger, his speed, which is great. Don't get me wrong, he was class. I don't know. It's just one of them where he's a very good player. If we sold Diaz and signed him, there'd be excitement. Of course there would, but no more so than there would be if we signed Gordon, in my opinion. He's in that similar kind of position in his development. For him, it makes sense. Go to Barcelona, stay in Spain. You're a national hero now. Go to play for one of the biggest clubs in Spain. Improve them as they sort of restabilise themselves. If he wants to leave, because did they win the cup last year? Bilbao.
They won the Spanish Cup, yeah.
So, there was progress there. They're looking maybe at pushing the Champions League this year. He's young enough. His brother's there with him, isn't he, as well?
Inaki,
When you think about it, all that kind of stuff, they pay good wages because they never sign anyone on transfer fees.
So it has to be from the Basque region, don't they?
Well, that's what I mean. So when you look at it like that, it's all... It makes sense for him to not necessarily move out that region, the immediate, or go to Barca. But if we did sign him, it'd be great. I just think for us, if we're spending our time scouting him, looking at him, spending our energy trying to sign left winger when we've got Jota, Diaz, Gakpo, even Nunes if needed, it just doesn't seem to make sense, does it?
No, we're well stocked.
Sorry to pour water on the transfer.
No, we're well stocked in that department. Mark have reported Liverpool is still in the mix for it, and I guess any club worth their salt would be in the mix.
How old is he?
He's 22, I think I might say.
Good age,
50 million release clause. That's pittance in this day and age when it comes to football.
It's a surprise that nobody's hit that already.
I guess the only reason nobody has is the astronomical wages, as you mentioned. You're looking at 200k as your starting point.
And the way the tax works in Spain and England, you'd have to pay him even more in England. Getting him out of Spain and cost you more as well. You're looking like 280.
Yeah, and as you say, all the reasons you mentioned a moment ago, the Copa del Rey win, his family, he's been there since he was a kid. There's loads of reasons for him to stay, but it does feel as though that move to the next level of football club is coming for him because he's just so good.
Have you seen the weather in this country as well, by the way?
Other than literally today. Literally today. Yeah, absolutely spot on. Yeah, rather be in Bilbao, let's put it that way. Couple of tiny bits of news to wrap up on. Nothing much to talk about really, but Liverpool under-18s are going to embark on a pre-season trip to Germany starting next week. They will play against Bayern Munich in their academy, which is interesting. Really excited by the academy and what we can do moving forwards next season. And from Jack Lusby as well of This Is Anfield, Liverpool currently have an under-19 side competing in the 2024 Bundesliga Cup, the only non-German team involved. Yeah, and the first game is against Hoffenheim today at 3:15, that's UK time, and they'll face Eintracht Frankfurt and St. Pauli tomorrow. So keep an eye out on those results and what's going on there, because again, we've seen it come to fruition really last year, Sam. Liverpool's academy right now is absolutely jam-packed. We've already made a sign into it this summer from Chelsea. We concentrate on the first team so much and we're wrapped up in the involvements and the ins and the outs and what it means. Of course we are, but deeper below that, Liverpool's academy, as I say, the AXA right now is in such a healthy place.
And the thing is, again, this is not what all our fans want to hear, but when you're getting it right underneath the first team, it justifies quieter summers. If you've got Conor Bradley, Quansah, McConnell, Doak, I know we signed them to an extent, Elliott improving, anybody else I've missed, Bobby Clark, all coming through, Jayden Danns, how can I forget him, all coming through. It makes the manager more calm about making the right calls and not panic buying. So you might have a decision to make with a new midfielder or Bobby Clark. That's an amazing decision to have. Because if he's good enough to make you make that decision, we're doing something right. And there's a load of young talent. Naomi, is it? The young lad we just signed, Rio, whatever his name is, from Chelsea. Mate, next year they're going to be popping even more.
Yeah, Trey Nyoni. Oh God, honestly,
Trey Nyoni, that's all.
He is something. And Kieran Morrison right now as well. Listen, anyone who's ever seen me talk about the academy before will know just how brilliantly I rate some of these players. But there is some real talent in there. Honestly, the future is bright, as John Munro says, right there. Boss, sound happy days. Enjoy that.
Yeah.
First news
nice.
show.
Yeah, good. Cool. I've never sat at this desk for 10 years. I've never sat at this desk, so I'll tick the box today.
Well, there you go. This could be the first and last time, because peek behind the curtain, that studio in there is nearly done, and it's heavy.
Yeah, better than Sky Sports, I reckon.
Comfortably.
And the pundits as well.
Miles better. Not a yellow tie in sight. Sound, nice one for watching, nice one for listening, nice one for getting involved as always as well.